This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. I have a couple of questions for you. Do you recall what people oftentimes say is the definition of insanity? What's the definition of insanity? In most cases, they say doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, is what they call the definition of insanity, right?
11.
We still do the same things, we don't change anything, and all of a sudden we end up in the same place we are, and we like, how did we end up in the same place we are? Because we've been doing the same thing over and over, and we don't change anything. We say oftentimes that that's the definition of insanity. How many of you have ever heard the phrase, there's no atheist in a foxhole? See, the interesting thing is we will say that we don't believe in God until the bullets are flying over our head and our life is flashing before us. Then somehow, mysteriously, we now start crying out for a God that we haven't believed in to all of a sudden save us. It's quite interesting. But what I want to share with you today is kind of the definition of insanity and seeing how we oftentimes will presume that the God of the Bible himself is there for our own request. But I want you to see that God is faithful to preserve his people.
You know, I'd like to take a trip all the way across.
If we open up to the book of Judges, the definition of insanity rings through. Israel pledges their faithfulness to God. After God restores them, eventually they go after idols. God disciplines them. They cry out to God to save them. How you doing? They cry out to God to save them. God saves them. They pledge their faithfulness to God. They go back to idols. They go back into a discipline. They then all of a sudden cry out to God. God restores them. They pledge their loyalty. And it goes on and on and on and on. And if we get a little insight into the heart of God, we see that God does not want to share his glory with another. He wants your loyalty and your faithfulness to him and him alone. And in this cycle of insanity of Israel's history, which can sometimes be our cycle, we have bad things happen. We cry out to God. We haven't prayed to God. We haven't done anything to God. All of a sudden, the one person we call on when all of a sudden something serious happens, we mysteriously believe in God. But we only believe in God because he can help us with our physical situation. And we say, God, if you will help me with this, I will pledge my life to you. And that only happens for a little while, and then all of a sudden we go back to life. We do this all the time. And this is the same thing that happened in the history of Israel. Israel would go after idols. And idols are anything that puts you outside of worshiping God. It can be anything. Anything that causes you not to worship God is considered an idol. There's two questions that you would want to know whether or not something's an idol. Are you willing to sin to get it? And are you willing to sin if you do not get it? If you can answer yes to one or both of those questions, more than likely that thing that you are seeking or not getting is an idol. It puts your loyalty before the God of the Bible. And see, oftentimes God's own people would go after foreign gods. They would go after foreign things. And they would be disciplined by God because they were disobedient. And they would be reminded of that either by a prophet that would come along, or they would be reminded of that when God disciplined and put them under a foreign nation to rule over them. Well, in the book of Judges, we see this very same thing. God has sought to teach his people a very valuable lesson about idolatry. In Judges 10, it says the people of Israel did again what is evil in the sight of the Lord. See, the book of Judges, one of the main themes is everybody did what was right in their own eyes. Kind of sounds a little bit like today. Another way of saying everybody does what is right in their own eyes is what is true for you is true for you. What is true for me is true for me. We're both right. But see, if you carry that out to its logical conclusion, if I were to take something from you and you said it's wrong, if everybody has their own truth, then you can't say it's wrong. Because just because it's wrong for you doesn't mean it's wrong for me. If everybody has their own truth, then nobody can say what is right and what is wrong. But see, in Israel's time, they did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. They went their own way. They were seeking after idols. And God will not share his glory with another. He wants your sole loyalty to him. And as he was teaching Israel as they were going after foreign gods, they were trying to pledge their allegiance to all these other gods that could help gain them something. God sends a foreign army to rule over them. And it wasn't just for a couple of years. This foreign army and this foreign nation ruled over God's people for 18 years. God allowed this to happen as a chastisement for going after foreign loyalties. And it went so far that these foreign nations would continue to press on throughout the regions of Israel. For 18 years, they had a foreign entity that didn't know their God ruling over them. And it wasn't pleasurable. It wasn't pleasurable. And they got to the point where they said, enough is enough. So let's cry back out to God because our situation is so unpleasant that maybe God will save us. And they cried out to God. And here's the heart of God. Here's the heart of God. Folks, you want to know what the heart of God is like at times? When his people continue to divide their loyalties? After 18 years, they had had enough. And they said, God, you need to help us. We've sinned against you because we have forsaken our God and served the Baals. We've served foreign gods. And this is the humor of Yahweh God. And the Lord said to the people of Israel, did I not save you from the Egyptians and from the Amorites and from the Ammonites and from the Philistines? Have I not continually saved you? And after all of these foreign nations have oppressed you, and I've delivered you from these, you cried out to me, and I've saved you from each one of them. And then you've forsaken me, and you've gone back after your other gods. Therefore, I'm not going to save you anymore. And you say, wait a minute. If God's all loving, should he not always want to take care of his people? This is an instance where God is teaching them a lesson to say, you want to serve after foreign gods? Go for it. Because here's the humor of God. After he says, I'm not going to save you anymore, he says, you serve foreign gods? Guess what? Don't cry out to me. Cry out to them. Let them save you. And guess what? They can't save you. But since your loyalties are divided, since you think it's such a great idea not to serve me with loyalty, serve your foreign gods. And when you're in trouble, cry out to them, because they will surely save you. Maybe that's you today. Maybe you want nothing to do with the God of the Bible because you want to serve your own idols, you want to serve your own God. Maybe when you're in distress, maybe when you're in